So how do we know what God's telling us? We pray to God, but sometimes we forget to listen. And how do we know what God is telling us? Well, God's voice shows up in so many ways. So many different ways. Shows up in our heads, actually as a voice. Sometimes seeming to be a voice from outside. I mean, I had a personal experience of it literally being a voice that sounded like it was from outside, that made my head turn. Twice, very loudly. That's an unusual situation. It's the only time it's ever happened to me. But it happened, so I know that it also happens like that. A lot of times it's a voice within yourself that has a very distinctly different quality than the voice of fear, than the voice of ego. Here's what the quality is. First of all, it's very clear. It's very clear. It's usually very short. So at least in my head, God doesn't speak to me in lots of long paragraphs. My ego does that. When there starts to be, rationalizations and explanations, and then I know, okay, that's not the voice of God. It's very clear. It's usually quite short, because when you're clear, you can be. It's soft. It's not booming. It's soft, but it's very present. And for me, at least, it feels like the voice under the other voices. Sort of the river that's running down below. And then it's up to me of whether I'm going to focus on sort of the noise up here, or whether I'm going to drop down. And if I drop down, that voice is always there. And sometimes, lastly, the voice of God comes, I have found, in things that are nonverbal, in just the way of the universe to give us a message, to give us a teaching. That the universe just conspires to bring you exactly what you need to learn the lesson you're supposed to learn in exactly that moment. But you still have to drop down to get it, because there's always a lot of noise up here, and when things in the universe happen, they don't always happen with banners that say, oh, look here, this is your lesson. You're getting this, right? This isn't a random happening. They're not plastered with bumper stickers or something that say, not a random happening. This is your message from God. You still have to drop down to get it. And for me, what I have found is when you do, it has that quality of, oh my God. Like it's so clear. It's so clear that wasn't random. It's so clear how and why that happened. And if you can just drop into that space, you get it. It's a lot less dramatic. So like my ego is very dramatic. There's a lot of drama. And by ego, I don't mean the arrogance level, I mean the whole identity. The whole aspect of who I identify as. It's very dramatic. There's been a lot of, drama in my history, and my ego is it's very dramatic. And the voice of God is not. And so for me, what I find is when I'm there, is that it's a very clear drop from a place up here of activity, but drama, into a place of, oh yeah. And it's right there. So you have to be listening, but not always just listening with your ears. It's really a listening with your heart. Because as I said, it's not always verbal. So what are the messages? What are the messages God's trying to give me that are clear, that are there, that I just have to drop out of the drama of my mind to hear? And for me, the last piece that I have found is when you drop into it, it's not easy to do because we're all attached and identified up here with the ego. Of, oh my God, but this, and oh my God, but that, and blah, but this, and blah, but this, and blah, blah. The minute you allow yourself to drop into that river, there's this sense of such utter rightness that it's like it's freedom. It's absolute freedom. It's literally like you have dropped into the river.
Is it a kind of meditation?
Is it a kind of meditation? Yes, but it's in life. And so for me, the times that God has spoken to me have not always been in meditation. They've been walking, they've been moving through life. They haven't even been in walking meditation. I mean, they've been in times of just being in life. And sometimes I have found you don't even realize it until you're there. I mean, if you knew, okay, 5 minutes, God's on, you're gonna quiet down. You're gonna make sure you can, receive, and you want to get every word. And it doesn't happen for me like that. The message is on, and then you realize, oh my God, all right, here we are. And you have a choice, of course, to listen or not to listen, to pretend that that wasn't the point, or to realize it was. But no, it doesn't always come in what we think of as meditation. And the only last piece that I would say about this before we close tonight is more important for me, and I can only share this on a personal, what I've experienced level. For me, more than meditation, to hear the voice, I have found courage is needed. Meditation is fantastic and amazing and wonderful for so much else. It gets us into a place of seeing the truth. But on a very personal level, my greatest moments of God is on and talking to you right now have not been sitting in meditation. They've been in life. The meditation is crucial, though, to help you stay in, okay, what's this truth? Now we meditate, now we sit in this truth. Okay, here's the truth, now we sit in it. But it's not, I close my eyes, I sit to meditate, and then the voice comes. And so really what I have found that's most important is just courage. Courage to say, oh my God, that's the message. Wow, that was not how I thought things were supposed to go. That's not what my ego says at all. That's not nearly as interestingly dramatic as I had anticipated this was going to be. But there it is. And it may fly in the face of everything you think you know, which for me it also has several times. And that's where the courage comes in. And then you sit in meditation to allow it to crystallize.